we present to you America's quintessential iconoclastic anomaly. Wow. In talk radio, your host, Joe Cristiano.
Folks, it's time for us to take back control of our government. Now, before this bureaucratic, oversized, and self-serving federal government starves us of our property, our freedom, our rights, and our liberty. To do this, we must shed conventional thinking regarding our political structure. We need to be revolutionaries in thought, dissidents in action, but only after we recognize what our government is doing to our freedom and our Constitution will we start taking it back. This program is just about that. Welcome to the hallowed halls of the University of Logic, better known as Cristiano's Conservatory, correcting convoluted conversations. This is Liberty Talk Radio. I'm your host, Joe Cristiano, on 1170 KFAQ, and this is your antidote to popular talk radio. Welcome, everyone. I am going to open up in a very unusual manner. I'm going to start with a subject that everyone has heard about in ad nauseum, at least for the past week or so, right? And you know what I'm saying? Ferguson, Missouri, a place that no one's ever heard of before. Very few people, even after a week, have any idea where it really is located or know anything about it. Now, if you think for a moment that I am going to regurgitate the crap that you hear on TV, forget about it. So stay with me and see if we can come to an understanding. Now, I am not going to take sides on this issue. I'm just going to talk about human behavior. Now, obviously, when you have a federal government that is starving for cash and you have these road tanks and you can't get rid of them because you used them in wars around the world, of which you retreated somewhat, and you have all of these tanks parked somewhere, you got to get rid of them. And the best way to do that, especially if you want to reduce the amount of your debt, is to sell them. And who do they sell them to? You know it. You got it. Your local friendly police department. So what, in fact, the federal government is doing is, and you've heard this before, this is in ad nauseum, by the way, we are federalizing and we are militarizing our police departments. That is wrong. Get rid of all that crap. All that crap that you've seen, the body armor, the helmets, the goggles, the automatic weapons, you know, the street tanks, and all that. That is equipment for the Army. And what does the Army do?
Fight wars.
Yeah, they search and destroy, right?
Yes,
They
sir.
search and destroy. Search and destroy. In other words, you identify the enemy and you destroy the enemy. Now, what we are doing is we are giving the tools with which to search and destroy, giving it to policemen who are not trained in that regard, and we're saying, this will help you out. Now, what do you do when you get a macho guy? Now, I have a lot of friends that are cops, right? Now, some of them are normal, but I'll tell you, some of them are macho guys. I mean, they are strong. I mean, one guy, this guy Johnny, I know, his arms are bigger than my waist, you know? Now, I'm not saying he would do anything like that. He would, you know, but mostly they're macho guys. Give a macho guy a helmet, or goggles, you know, give him an automatic weapon. What are they using these? Anyone know what weapon they use? I know it's not AK-47. That's what I have. I have the old AK-47. That's how I understand.
Probably AR-15s.
AR-15s or what? That's right. Yeah, probably so. You know, and they're automatic. Of course, we can't. We have semi-automatic. We have to use our thumb or our finger, you know. Yeah. But you give them all this stuff, and then you say, you know, quelch down, you know, this riot that's going on. Well, first of all, they're not trained in that. They don't even know why there is a riot. So they move in and they say, all right, everyone is under now our control, because that's what the Army does. They take control. They don't go there to serve and protect. They're there to take total control. And this is what the guys do. Well, when you feel that you've been done wrong, and then you see the Army, not the police, I mean, they're the police, but they see the Army coming in, not the Army, the military coming in, right, to control your behavior on your street, you get pissed. I know I would. And I don't care what color you are. And I hate color. I wish we, you know what? I wish we had a green color. I know we have redskins, we have blacks, we have whites, right? You know, what's funny is half of my black friends are lighter than I am, you know? But I wish we had green people, you know? So he said the Greens. I can blame some. I want to blame the Greens for everything.
Like the government.
Yeah, the Greens. That's right. I want to blame the Greens for everything, all right? So here we have this dichotomy that no one's talking about because they're afraid to, you know, well, you don't want to be disrespectful to our men in uniform. Well, wait a minute.
And women, too, Joe.
Our men in uniform are
too,
in uniform for us, not against us. And right now, the way we are going, it's becoming more against us than for us, and that's wrong. Now, whether or not the person that was shot, it was legitimate, he did it in self-defense, or he panicked and he killed somebody in error, or he did it, I have no idea. And that, at this point, is immaterial because that should be heard out in a court of law. Mm-hmm. Now, when you serve and protect, and someone says, by the way, can you tell me the name of the person that killed my son? And the chief of police says, no, I can't tell you. You know, we've got a problem. We have a societal problem. And it reaches so well beyond this one incident. Let me give you an example. If you look at Ferguson, Missouri, it's about 10 miles from St. Louis. St. Louis is a big damn town with plenty of schools of education, universities, you know. In fact, there are even universities in Ferguson, Missouri. I tell you, it's a schoolyard. And there are all different types of schools there. Schools of learning. Now, I want to make something very clear to everyone here. And it's one thing, the second thing that really pisses me off. I don't think it, you know, I'm trying to find something that doesn't.
Yeah, I was going to say, what doesn't?
I can't figure it out. Jim, when you find out, would you call me?
I will call you.
Okay.
Let you know, yeah.
Is that we confuse education with learning. That's like saying if you're not going to school, you're not learning. In other words, when you leave school, bloop, everything stops. Your brain is turned off. You know, you become a numbnut. You will only learn when you're in school. What we don't realize is that school is only an addendum to what we learn outside of school. Exactly. It helps us develop what we want to do. But we have everything, including Ferguson, have it all backwards. We have the whole thing backwards. You know why? Because the people in Ferguson, generally speaking, are undereducated. And how you can be undereducated in a town that has a plethora of institutions dedicated to learning is beyond me. But I'm getting off on a tangent. But I want you to know that people themselves have a responsibility. Let me give you an example. Let's assume we had a town, and the town had a mayor, right? And a police chief, right? And he was the only cop, right? And it had one councilman, right? And everyone in that town was green. See, I'm getting away from the black and white crap,
sure.
All right?
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Now, the guy's green, right? Now, the policeman, the mayor, and the councilman are not green. They're pink, right? They're pink guys, right? Now, the people in town complain that City Hall and the government is run by the pinks. Now, they have elections. Whose fault is it?
Enlighten us.
Look, just think. They have elections, right? Mm-hmm. Who's electing the pinks into office?
The Greens.
The Greens are. So now, when the Greens go, man, you know, this would be a damn good town if it wasn't for those pinks, because those pinks are really crapping on us, you know, and they don't give us any opportunity and all this. They give us in fact, the only job you can get as a Green is cleaning the toilet paper, cleaning the toilets and sweeping floors. Now, you would have a problem there, but you'd have to ask yourself the question. You say, well, Joe, what you said just made no sense. You know, you have all the Greens and you have 3 pinks. Why aren't there Greens in office? Do we have a break yet?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. All right. You know, we said, you just said it. They say, Joe, that couldn't happen. That could not happen. right? When someone say amen, say amen, anything.
Amen,
What if
brother.
the pink masqueraded as a green until they got into power?
Oh, what's that?
What if the pink masqueraded as a green until they got into power and allowed more pinks inside?
All right, but how long will that how long will that last? You think after a while that may work once?
If the green were educated enough.
What? Wait a minute. They're not. All my rights are taken away. I'm treated like crap in the whole bit. An election comes by, and you run for office, and you're a green. Who am I going to vote for?
The pink.
I'm going to vote for the pink. I'm going to vote for the green.
That's the only name on the ballot, though.
It's already
Most people
confusing.
vote for the pink because it's comfortable. It's what they know.
It's the norm. It's
Yeah,
the
and plus
business.
they have the money. They control all the commercials.
Of you people are dumb and perverted. Every one of you.
We don't want to vote for the pink.
You are insane, dumb, and perverted. Let's take a break.
All right, here we go. Yeah, you bet.
Someone's got to save me from my own staff. I think they've all lost their minds, you know.
Probably
We're
so,
talking
you know.
about, instead of talking about black and white, we're talking pinks and greens, okay? All right, the pinks are in office, right? There's a 10,000 greens, and there's 3 people pinks in office, and then they're all upset that they have no rights because the pinks take it away. But they're the ones that voted them in office. That was my point, okay? Let me give you real life.
Okay.
How many greens are there in Ferguson? What percent of green?
None.
68%. 68% of the people are black. 68, folks. Now, how many? I think there's 6 councilmen. How many are black?
Zilch.
1.
1.
Okay? The police department is what percent black?
95%.
No, you're right. No, the opposite. They're hardly get it. It's over 90% is white. The mayor, black or white?
I'm going to say white.
Yeah, white. You know, you
So
see
why
my
do you,
point.
Why do you think that is, Joe?
What?
Well, I
what-
think, you know what I think it is?
Yeah.
I think the black people have a good conscience and they're voting for the best person.
if
And they're
someone
not
has
just voting black
please,
or white. They're
if
voting for the
someone
best
someone
person.
out there can deliver me some rat poison, I want to give it to my agent. You know, but you see my point. My point is that if there is a community and the community withdraws from its own community, that's my point. They are withdrawing from their own community and not taking active part in that community. And if you look at the website of Ferguson, Missouri, it's quite a neat town. It has community colleges. It has a great school education system. Buildings look great. And I can tell you that Ferguson must be a decent town for one reason.
Why is that?
It has a quick trip. No, really. Go to any.
I thought he said a Baptist church.
Forget the universities. Forget about the research labs. Forget about all that. No, really, that's true. Because, you know, when my industrial health test, occupational health testing company, I've traveled just about everywhere in Oklahoma, all Kansas, all the way up to Illinois, down to Houston, you know, and I was in all those small towns. And it was rare that you found a quick trip. Only in the better, bigger towns where there was some industry and some industrial activity and whatever, you know, schools and whatever.
They leave the rest of them for come and go.
Oh, yeah. You're right. I mean,
They're expensive.
Listen, Chester Catio is the owner, and I'm not sure if he's still alive, but his son and my son were in Cub Scouts together, so we worked together with the Cub Scouts, and I'm talking 40 years ago, you know. I mean, and he's done a phenomenal job. You don't put a quick trip in a crap area, basically. So you put a quick trip in an area that is responsive to the people, etc. And what do you think got burnt down and knocked down?
Don't tell me the quick.
The quick trip. Yeah.
Not even the quick trip
They
that was
leveled
involved
the
in
quick
crime.
trip.
It was-
They leveled
I mean,
the quick trip.
Yeah, the
you know,
store that was involved in the crime
now,
didn't get burnt down.
I'm sure Chester Catio just can't wait to rebuild that quick trip. You know, my point is that the power of the people were in and has been and still is in Ferguson.
Maybe they just decided not to vote.
Don't
Joe.
tell me that. I'm going to
Maybe
get
they're
rat poison
tired of
for
it.
it. Rat
Maybe
poison.
they're tired of it, and they want to
Rat
vote.
poison.
They're making a point by not voting. They're saying it's rigged in this town. We're just going to vote, not vote. To vote.
No, there are too many.
Maybe that's why they need MRAPs in the town.
No, wait a minute. Wait. You're talking nearly 68% of the people are black, and they're saying the votes are rigged. If the votes were rigged, you don't think there would be other people, black communities, minority communities, the Democrat Party, somebody coming in and saying, we've got a problem, Houston. You know that they would have. No one's ever mentioned the word, and no one has even heard of Ferguson, Missouri before.
So you're
until
really
now.
You're unwrapping. There's got to be some kind of something
Ulterior
going on
motive.
there.
No,
seriously, there's got to
I'm
be something
saying,
going on politically there that's very
No, you're go
So
back
are you saying this is like any town in America, and this could happen anywhere?
This could happen anywhere, and I excuse my agent to go to the bathroom for another week. He's lost.
There's a hitman in there waiting for you.
He's totally lost. He's totally lost. My point being is that this is a societal issue. And society itself has not solved the issue. They're waiting for someone else of a higher level, someone to
Some
solve
politician.
the issue. Some politician to solve the issue.
I can see that.
And the power is with the people, and the only time that they exercise the power is when they burnt down the Quick Trip.
So the people are the enemy.
The people become their own enemy.
Right, so that's
Absolutely.
why the military
And
moves in.
This is what we're not saying. Forget about everything else. Now, I'm not against the black people. I'm just saying that if this was an Italian neighborhood and where 68% was Italian, right, and there was, let's say, like a drunken Irishman as a mayor. Like
Wait a minute. Hold on now.
Well, like my agent, may God strike him dead if I'm lying, but and they were really lousy. The next time, Joe Bacciatoni, he ran for office, I can guarantee you.
And Murphy would be on the street
He gets
looking for a
68% of the votes, right. My point is that you have to question. Now, I don't know the answers, but you have to question what happened to society in Ferguson. When the community is 10 miles away from St. Louis, has some of the best universities available to them, diverse universities, has all different types of schools and trades that they can go into.
You think their leadership sold them out?
And please, don't even go there. I hate crap like that. I just hate crap like that. People selling people. The point being is that every individual there has an opportunity. Now, let me give you another statistic. All right. Now, remember, whites alone make up only 29% of the population. That's a minority.
The pinks.
The pinks. You're right. He's absolutely correct.
The greens and the pinks.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, here's a sorrowful part. A community where you have the opportunity to progress. And, when people say, well, I get no respect, I say, you want respect? Become an organic chemist. Really, if you say, what are you, an organic chemist? You have respect.
Like
But when you drop out of school and you get crappy grades because, hey, man, I'm going to hang with the gang, man, like that, you get no respect, not from me or not anyone else. Here's something. Per capita income in the past 12 months of 2008 to 2012, $20,617 a year.
Is this in Ferguson?
Ferguson, right. Now, Missouri Missouri in general was $25,540, not much higher, but still over $5,000 higher. Now, Ferguson is not lacking. It's not that there's no school, there's no, there's total chaos and whatever. We have a listener on the phone, I think. Call your first name and where you're calling from.
This is Kathy in Sand Springs, Joe. I hope you're doing better.
Thank you, Kathy. Yeah, I'm doing better. I'm weak today, but I'm yelling because my agent's aggravating me. I think I'm going to die, by the end of the day.
I can hear it.
Yeah. You want them, you can have them, What's on your mind, Kathy?
I have two comments. About 3 days ago, I heard on the news that the people that were arrested for looting and burning were not from Ferguson. They were from out of town. Yesterday, I found out the mayor told Al Sharpton, go home. We don't need you here. I thought that was very interesting.
Hallelujah. You're sure?
Hallelujah.
Yeah, hallelujah. We don't need, they don't need, they need no one, Kathy. They need themselves, a faith in themselves to succeed and to become an integral part of the world society. Forget about Missouri and Ferguson and whatever, but the world society where they have value and the world sees that they intrinsically have value to the rest of the population, no matter where they are, and they don't have that.
That's true. That's true. And another thing, I can't believe they burned down the Quick Trip.
Oh, yeah, isn't that terrible?
They don't regret it when they
my
need
favorite
gas.
store, yeah. Kathy, thank you very much for calling in. Certainly appreciate it.
They should burn down a Walmart or something.
I know,
Thank you,
right?
Dave. And now here's another statistic. Persons below the poverty level, right? The number of people below the poverty level in Ferguson, this is in 2012. So I'll bet it's worse today, 22%.
Wow.
In all of Missouri, 15%.
Wow.
Now, it would be one thing you say, well, they don't allow schools there. There's no trade there. They're 5% of the population, and the pinks, crap all over them, and they only give them jobs cleaning up. None of that exists.
I wonder what percentage of the population that's there in the school system is actually coming in from the outside, like the looters.
Yeah.
How many people actually in Ferguson have that opportunity to get in there and take those classes? Maybe it's just people coming in from the outside.
Right.
They don't have.
You want another? This is national statistic. In public schools in major cities, okay, public schools in major cities throughout the United States, the graduation rate 51%. That includes Tulsa, by the way. 51%. That means half of the students are leaving high school without an education. Don't blame me for that.
This lady made the comment in the call that somebody said the people who were arrested were, from out of town.
They're kind of remembering the Syria thing.
Well, I can imagine that must be the same way on the police that showed up in riot gear, because I don't see a town of 22,000 having that many cops in SWAT team.
Yeah.
So they must have brought them from out of town too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, we have about 2 minutes before we go to our hard break. And after our hard break, we're having Tom Counts as our call-in guest. And Tom is the former director for OKforTEA. That's the old Tea Party, He spent his whole life interested in politics, especially during the times when he was in the Marines. He's helped establish a regular group of people, and together they set up protests, communicated with legislature, and even took 4 buses to Washington for a protest. That takes a lot, all right? So, and he now resides in Oklahoma. He'll be calling in about right after our break at around 7:45 or something like that, okay? And we have another minute to go, all right? Now, please understand, I am not being disrespectful to any people whatsoever. I mean, I would be a lot more disrespectful if the 68%, right, were Italians. Then I'd curse them because you can't say I have prejudice. I mean, I would call them "Gavongen, you ignorante drapa dead." I mean, I would really give it to them.
Wow.
So it makes absolutely no difference. My point being is that and what I'd love to see in these statistics is the number of teens and the number of people who out of high school with tattoos.
I'm curious who was there.
Well, I can't help that. No, my point being is that what do you do with your money? Do you make yourself more? When we hired someone the other day, the agency sent somebody over, hire, and Gary, I talked to you about it, right? Person shows up in a gray, like a pullover shirt and jeans. Weighed about 400.
For an office job.
And weighed about 400 pounds.
I'm sorry.
Now, she would have been a good girlfriend for you. Okay, guys, stay with us. We'll be back.
Kevin too much.
And with us during our second half is Mr. Tom Counts of the Oklahoma Tea Party. Tom, are you with us?
Yeah, how you doing, Joe?
All righty. Thank you for joining us here on Liberty Talk Radio on 1170 KFAQ. Now, Tom, can I start off with a complaint?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, here we go. I have to admit, I only went to 2 Tea Party rallies, okay? And because I've never understood the Tea Party. And the reason why I never understood is because what I did is I did this deliberately, being a talk show host, I got to do these things, I walked through the crowd to see, everyone had posters and stuff and signs. And it seemed that one person would have a sign saying one thing, and then the other person would have another sign saying something contradictory to that one. And then, in other words, there was no cohesive philosophical groundwork. It's not like saying that we're all on the same page. Everyone was hacked off, wanted to change. They're not particularly liberals, although some of them were liberals, but they wouldn't admit it. And because their thoughts were liberal, I mean, it would be considered liberal or progressive, but they didn't look at it that way. And it just seemed to be a totally disjointed group of people. Now, did I miss something?
No, I don't think that you missed anything from the standpoint of there not being in lockstep with each other. The thing that brought the Tea Party about, I mean, if you go all the way back to 07, 08, and 09, is, a lot of the misinformation from the left is that the Tea Party was racist, and because we had our first black president, that they were going to be in opposition to whatever he did, when in actuality, this has been coming for quite a long time in our history, and people were just finally fed up with it. I think they started to become fed up with it when you saw President Bush with approval ratings in the latter part of his second term in the 20s, and that's because he lost people like me. And then when you see Republican administrations doing bailouts, and then the best we can do, and I applaud Senator McCain for his service and how he endured in the Hanoi Hilton during the Vietnam War, and I voted for him. But I was thinking, is this the best we have? Because a lot of times he would be giving lines that the Democrats should be giving, and so I think a lot of people became disenchanted, and for different reasons. But I think what we've seen, that was the seeds at that point, where the country is not going in the direction it should be going, and the people that are elected are not representing the people.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I would have a lot more respect for McCain if he said, you want me to napalm a beautiful country and kill all these innocent people on the floor. That's what you want me to do? No thanks, I'm taking a vacation.
Right.
Now, so I part company when it comes to, we appreciate his service. He provided no service, but he became a killer for the bankers.
Oh, yeah. His political career is totally separate from his service, when he was a prisoner of war. And that's mainly what I was referring to. And I'll tell you what, I learned a lot as part of the Tea Party, because it really, being a part of it, you are around a lot of people who know their stuff and know the history of the United States, and so it makes you take a really good, long, hard look at what liberty really means, and I think I tend to lean a little more libertarian. I'm still registered a Republican, but you just really don't see a lot of people in the Republican establishment, even to this day, understand what they're dealing with, and they still think they can control the federal leviathan that is the apparatus of the federal government. They still think they can just feed this monster, and that they can control it. But the problem is the government is going to ruin the lives of the regular citizen. And I think, going back to the stuff you were talking about at the beginning of your program with what's happening in Ferguson, there is the fabric of our society is torn.
Right. Yeah, Ferguson is a microcosm of what's going on nationally. I agree.
It could be the border. It could be the stuff that went on with the cattle rancher and the Department of Land and Management taking his cattle. There is a disenfranchisement and a discontent in all sectors of society. And I don't think it's any accident that a lot of the movies and TV shows that we have in our entertainment sector have to do with the world coming to an end or the apocalyptic type themes, because people, I think, our entertainment is an extension of where our hearts and our minds are. And I think people just realize that this world is going nuts. And
art imitates life.
There is a spirit of lawlessness that has started with the top. And when you have a president of the United States that says, I will not follow the law, that the lawmakers, who are the legal elected representatives of the people, have put into place, I will choose not to obey these laws or that law, then you have a spirit of lawlessness that is prevalent all through our society. And the people are starting to say, you know what, I'm not going to listen to you anymore because you're not legitimate.
So what you're saying is that we are our very government, form of government, and what they are doing are actually creating, converting our citizens into criminals because we're all disobeying the law. We want to disobey the law because we think that's unfair and unwarranted and unconstitutional.
Criminals can't kick you out of office.
Well, yeah, I think I don't think that anybody, and especially in the Tea Party, we have from the very beginning have for the most part said, we still have a constitution that is in place. We still have elected officials. We still have elections. We still have all of the surroundings of a republic. But so we have to do it honestly. We have to be forthright. We have to not spin tails, and tell lies just to get political gain. And I think if you do it with character, and then I think people will see that you mean what you say, and it's from the heart. I think what the problem is most of the people in our society, they're just content to go to work and do their own thing and not pay attention. And that's a very, very dangerous, environment when you've got people in power that they want to, like the president says, fundamentally transform America, and he is. And if we don't turn it around in this election and at least start stemming the tide a little bit, it could be already a lost cause.
Right. When these clowns, Tom, when these clowns in Washington ask you what are the principles from which the Tea Party, is based, what do you tell them?
Say that again. When they ask me what?
What principles? Is the Tea Party founded on?
Well, I will tell you, what I will say. Well, like you said, I mean, there are different parts of the Tea Party. There's the very hard libertarian part of the Tea Party. There is the evangelical Christian wing of the Tea Party that tend to, not go as far with the libertarians. And then there are the just general Republican types. What I would say is I don't even call myself a conservative any longer because it really means nothing. It's a milquetoast, watered down.
I agree. I wish we would get rid of that. And I like when people call themselves, I'm a progressive. That means if you're not a progressive, you're a regressive, and no one wants to be a regressive, so everyone becomes a progressive, and yet that's all horse monarchy. But go ahead. I can rant on that for an hour.
Right. What I say is I'm a constitutionalist because then you see it in black and white. And when you see it in black and white in the Constitution, and let's say you were a lawmaker and you vote contrary to the Constitution, then people can say you're full of it because you aren't a constitutionalist. A conservative could mean anything.
Oh, right.
And so I think that's the thing. It's the Constitution. And we have to remember, and you always have to remind these folks, you take an oath of the office, and you mentioned in my bio that I was in the Marine Corps, and every serviceman takes an oath to preserve and defend the Constitution of the United States, not to support and defend the president's order.
That's correct, right?
And you have a lot of servicemen even that are really misinformed on that. They think their job is to obey the president of the United States no matter what. That's not correct. It is.
So why are you not a libertarian?
Well, that I have long and hard about that. I would really like to be. I think that I am general. I think the thing I think about it. I think the reason I am not is I think that right at this point we still have an opportunity if we have a strong opposing party to the Democrat party, then I think we have a shot. I think the problem is in terms of parties, if we keep diluting the forces against the Democrat Party in the Progressive Party, I mean that's what it is. I mean Democrats are just totally ran by the Progressives, we have what we had in the Republican primaries before in the president. We had maybe 3 or 4 quasi to full-blown libertarian type or at least Tea Party leaning candidates, and then you had 1 or 2 moderates. Well, that's the problem is until you start having support coalescing around one strong or 2 strong candidates and quit watering it down, the moderates with the money and the power and the influence within the establishment of the Republican Party are going to continue to get the nomination until you have that one figure. Well, if I apply that to the parties, I think I'm still to the point where I kind of feel like I need to keep my support in the Republican Party, and I think the reason there isn't a Libertarian Party may partly be because the Republican Party just isn't constitutionally consistent enough for true constitutionalists. And so people are saying,
well, they violate the Constitution only about 8,000 times a day. I mean, how much? I mean, it can't get any worse. I don't think it can get any worse. I mean, they violate it just every time they open their mouth. In fact, when they open their mouths and say nothing, just their lips moving, you know that's unconstitutional. That's how bad they are. You could lip read these guys, these characters.
Well, and there could be a very good case to be made that if everybody in the Republic there was a registered Republican that there was a Tea Party affiliated person or lean that way became a libertarian, that then it would solve the problem. And so, I hear what you're saying, and it has been an internal debate, with, myself, so I just haven't quite went there yet.
I've noticed that hi, this is Gary, by the way, I'm the crazy agent, but anyway, it seems like you guys have been demonized by both sides. It's, the Republicans and the Democrats, they just don't like the Tea Party. They do not like the new boys on the block, and because it's a new group, they seem to be inconsistent in all. Like you said, you got a bunch of different people from all different areas, and like Joe was seeing 2 different signs that were contradictory. But they all, I think, that align with you, have this common core thing within them that says there's something wrong. Houston, we have a problem, and that's really what I think the cohesiveness of the party is. And how are you coming along and trying to get some cohesiveness outside of just that we have a problem?
Well, in terms of cohesiveness, I mean, we continue to have the same issues that we did before, in the respect that people are going to have their own thoughts. Now, what's happened is the different groups that are out there have tended to start to narrow their focus, because of the limited resources and hours. You got to remember, 99% of the Tea Partiers are people who just volunteer aside from the normal day job that they do to pay the bills and keep their own family and households running. So there's limited resources, limited money, limited hours that they can spend, things like that. So to some extent, that's what's happened, is that the different groups have started to narrow their focus.
Is there a focus now? I mean, that you can identify? Oh, we got a caller.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
You want to take caller now?
Hey, would you like to take caller?
Yeah, just hold on, Tom. We have a call. Caller, you're on the air. Thank you for calling Liberty Talk Radio here on 1170 KFAQ. Your first name and where you're calling from, please.
Yes, Michael from Tahlequah.
Hey, Michael in Tahlequah. Good town. I like that town.
Yeah, well, it's a wonderful, largely Christian community, and I just heard announced, I think it was the day before yesterday, that some Bible printer had sent copies of the Bible for the umpteenth time to every member of Congress.
You think they'll read it?
Yeah, right. So I just thought I'd check, because I know David Barton's been in almost every office in Congress confronting them with their ignorance of the Constitution. Right? And I know two organizations, one in Arizona and the other out of Idaho, who have sent buku copies of pocket constitutions to these people, who are all taken oath to protect and defend the Constitution in every aspect for every individual from all enemies, foreign and domestic, and they all act as though they don't care about it. They've never read it.
Right. Now, you're saying they sent a copy of the Bible?
Oh, the Constitution.
And the Constitution, or just the Bible?
Both.
Oh, both. Okay. All right. I misunderstood you. Okay. All right. I was wondering how you got the Bible in with the Constitution.
These guys must be reading the Bible, because they're sure not reading the Constitution.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, really, what did you...
They're mutually complementary. Respect.
Well, of course they are, but I'm making a joke.
What did they really expect? What kind of response did they really expect to get by mailing a Bible and a copy of the Constitution and maybe the Declaration of Independence, to these clowns?
And the Pledge of Allegiance.
Really? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, they're making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars every year on contracts and this crony capitalism and you name it, and someone says in the Bible, they're going to say, well, I'm going to give that $3.2 million back. I'm sorry, I just read the Bible. You think that's ever going to happen?
Yeah. They already know they're in the wrong.
Yeah, they all need a copy of the Coinage Act.
That's right, if anything.
Yeah, they've all forgotten what a dollar is supposed to be.
That's right. Well, geez.
Yeah. Well, if they read those books and they followed the Constitution, they wouldn't have that much money, and they wouldn't.
Talking about having like Glenn Beck was on there talking about how somebody like the Pentagon lost a couple of trillion, and then some other organization, the bureaucratic organization, lost nearly $600 billion.
Yeah, that's 619 billion.
We lost over 1 trillion ounces of gold to the confiscation in 1933, and several trillion ounces of silver after Kennedy's murder.
Yeah, but
that wasn't lost.
Yeah, that's just a miscount. Don't worry, they'll find it. It's in the bottom left-hand drawer. That's where it is. Hey, thanks a lot for calling in here on 1170 Cafe. Appreciate your listenership. Okay, hey Tom, what do you think about that? I'll call and what he said about sending the Constitution, and the Bible to our legislatures. What do you think?
Well, I think it can't hurt. Whoever said it, if they'll read it. What's sad is that they can hold office and really not at least have a general understanding of what those documents say. And then the Bible is just whether or not they pay any credence to that at all. But going back to what we were talking about before. I think the biggest thing that I have seen is that between elections, the regular people tend to fall asleep. And I don't think this is anything new.
Right.
I think, but that's been the issue that that the Tea Party has had to fight, is keeping the regular folks engaged, because the regular Republican Party can't stand the Tea Party. It's because we hold them accountable. Now, the Democrat Party, they won't have anything to do with it.
Right.
And we're not a part of the Republican Party.
Right.
If we found a candidate, to be honest, if we found a candidate that was worth anything in the Democrat Party, I can guarantee you most of the Tea Party would probably support them, but they're so ideologically contrary to what we stand for, they don't have anything to do with us, and we don't want to really have anything to do with most of their stances. But the people need to become engaged. That's the key. That's the reason.
All right, Tom, let me put it this way. Mother Nature abhors being screwed around with, and Mother Nature always wins out. I say Mother Nature just to give it a term, okay? Call it whatever you want, all right? And whenever you screw around with Mother Nature and she gets pissed off and she puts things back in perspective, and when she does, it hurts, all right? Mm-hmm. What do you think that point is? Where do you think that point is? When and how? You have any idea? What's your opinion of that?
Well, I think if we continue on the course that we're on, unfortunately, I think that if we continue to get the same kind of, I don't want to even say leadership because there really hasn't been any, but the same kind of people in elected office, then eventually, whether it's in my lifetime or my children's lifetime, I really see the forces of, disintegration kind of at work. All
right, what do you think? My question is, what do you think is going to happen? I'm not specific. What do you think is going to happen? What's going to be the event?
Well, it could be a political event. I mean, there have been people that I don't think in right now that it is going to happen, but there have been people that have had a fear that if a president goes to a certain point and decides to stay in office, for instance, or to do something so heinously unconstitutional that even the average person notices, then there's going to be it could strike some sort of reaction among people.
Okay.
But I think that I think somewhere down the line, if we don't change course, you have the progressives or the regressives, and you have the people on the right that have such diametrically opposed beliefs in how the form of governance that they want to have in place, that you can't avoid, but down the line, there could be the potential of violence and a civil war. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be now, but you could just see the things going on our border and what have you, and the lawlessness. Something's going to come to a head, and it's probably not going to be good.
Well, where's the Tea Party doing now? I mean, what are you doing now with the Tea Party? And we only have about 30 seconds, so make it really quick, please.
Well, I think right now, I mean, you're in the middle of election season. I think, most of the Tea Parties are involved in their individual campaigns. We encourage people to get involved with supporting and being active with the candidates that they support. And they're just trying to get people active and ready to vote and trying to inform people, having classes, things like this. That's basically what everybody's doing right now.
So you're in an educational binge right now, right? Get people on board.
Educational is a constant with the Tea Party classes. Yeah,
have them tune into Liberty Talk Radio. Hey,
have them call Liberty Talk. Tom, we're running out of time. I want to thank you very much, folks. This is Tom Counts from the Oklahoma Tea Party. Tom, thank you so much for being our guest today, and I hope you will accept our invitation to maybe return at a later date.
Anytime.
Okay, Tom, thank you very much, and good night to you. Okay, folks, this is the end of tonight's broadcast. I'm going to give you an insight, by the way. I did not have time to discuss two subjects very dear to my heart. One has to do with rights. When people say we have a right to water, we have a right to the internet, I'm going to talk about that, and I want to talk about the Conservative Party's pro-wage proposal, which would blow your mind, is the total antithesis of what the Conservative Party stands for. But I want to thank you very much for listening in, folks. It's time for this is the end of today's broadcast. We'd like to thank our financial support. Thank you. I'm sorry. We'd like to thank our sponsors for the financial support, and we'd like to thank you for listening in. You can further the cause of liberty by recommending this program to your friends and let us hear from you. Our email address is comments@libertytalkradio.com. Remember, you're either allowing your liberties to be taken away or you're striving to protect them. Unfortunately, there is no middle ground. Until next time, this is Joe Cristiano with Liberty Talk Radio on 1170 KFAQ. Stay well, stay tuned.